out with approval of the minutes. You have before you the minutes from the last meeting of February 5th, 16.
Well, hearing nothing, I'll make a motion that we approve them as presented.
Second?
Dick Reed,
Yes.
Rick Hoopie.
Yes.
Tommy.
Yes.
Dick Wright.
Yes.
Keith.
Yes. Number 2 on the agenda is hearing of public concerns. Is there anyone who would like to address the council at this time? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to item number 3, which is an ordinance. Please number and read, Lori.
Ordinance number 3, 2015. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Bryan Excavating LLC for the project known as 2015 Water Main and Sanitary Sewer Extension on Brunicardie Way from North Main Street to the city limits.
Good evening. As you can see on my letter, we received several bids on that. The low bid was Bryan Excavating LLC for just under $47,000. I do recommend we award the project to them. They are eager to start probably late in April, as soon as the ground thaws out and firms up. So prices were very good. We were very happy with them. So we're looking forward to working with them.
Who is that, Brian?
That's some of the guys used to work for Lingby Excavating.
The little guy's bunch?
Yeah, it's another crew. Yep.
Tom's not involved with it.
No, Tom's not the owner. No.
Well, if you're okay with that, I'll move we suspend.
I'll second that.
Dick Wright.
Yes.
Keith.
Yes.
Tommy.
Yes.
Dick Reed.
Yes.
Rick Hoopie.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'll make a motion to pass.
Second?
Dick Reed.
Yes.
Rick Hoopie.
Yes.
Tommy.
Yes.
Dick Wright.
Yes.
Keith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, number 4, is another ordinance. Please number and read, Laura.
Ordinance number 4, 2015, an ordinance to provide an effective means for protecting the public water system from contamination due to backflow of contaminants through the water service connection into the public water system, and to rescind ordinance number 10, 1989 in its entirety and declaring an emergency.
Okay.
Yeah, as she said, this ordinance was written in 1989 per the EPA guidelines at the time. Over the years, well, actually, recently we've discovered the need to update the ordinance. Actually, it's still written pretty well verbatim as the new EPA recommendations. The old ordinance had 20-some pages to it, listed devices that were approved to be used for backflow. They no longer list individual devices. Those are covered by ANSI standards. And for those that don't quite understand it, by definition, backflow is any reversal of water, whereas water might come back into the system from a premise, and we don't want that. We currently monitor about 375 devices on the system as it is. We're adding to that fairly regular as new businesses come in and new things are discovered.
Are those all commercial that you're talking about?
They're mostly commercial. There's some residential as well on irrigation systems and things like that. It's a device that's supposed to be tested on an annual basis, and we as a water provider are supposed to have a program to monitor these and keep track of them and assure that they get tested at the owner's expense and installed at the owner's expense. It's quite a job, but
So it's not a new ordinance as much as it's an update based on EPA?
that's correct. As there's a revision to the standards, we did revise the penalties a little bit there. Rhonda looked this over for us and made some recommendations too, and added a little bit of procedural policy in there too. So and we'd like to go ahead and get it passed if we could, so we can get some new revamped letters out to people starting the 90 days on those that are due the first half of this year.
Okay, I'm gonna lose suspense.
Second?
Dick Wright.
Yes.
Tommy.
Yes.
Rick Hoopie.
Yes.
Dick Reed.
Yes.
Keith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Move we adopt.
Second?
Dick Wright.
Yes.
Rick Hoopie.
Yes.
Tommy.
Yes.
Dick Reed.
Yes.
Keith.
Yes. Another place? Number 5 on the agenda is another ordinance. Please number and read.
Ordinance number 5, 2015, an ordinance amending and approving the City of Bryan Employee 2015 Handbook.
Okay, I would like to, first of all, thank Rhonda for all her input of bringing us up to date and legally with the handbook. The last handbook that we had printed in the style that you see, it was dated December 7, 2009. That doesn't mean things have changed, hasn't changed since that, but we keep changing. It'll probably be outdated with some things by tomorrow or by the end of the week, but as new laws and regulations come in, we do change a handbook from time to time. So with this handbook, it will be printed, and each employee will be given a copy of the handbook and asked to sign that they have received a copy, and then that will be the rules and regulations we will be following as we go through the handbook. Just going down a few things, if we have unions, we have a police union and a wastewater union. Union contracts may supersede some of the things that you would see in this handbook. They have some different regulations than some that's in the handbook. There'll be an employee acknowledgement form separate. That's really on the back page of your first page there, and the employees will sign that, and that's kept in the clerk treasurer's office. I believe so, Lauren, that everybody
Yes.
has signed and received a copy. Then as new employees are hired by the City of Bryan, they're also given a handbook, and it's their responsibility to make sure that they know what's in there. Going down through some of the pages, and you have them yellowed out what we have. No, I think the first page, number 1, is union contracts can supersede some of the things that are in this handbook. Number 3 is just an affirmative action, which states that you can not orally or in writing be against any individual who has a complaint against the city and an investigation of any complaint or otherwise oppose discrimination. It's affirmative action statement opposing discrimination of any type. Number E on page 11, that is just clarifying what a classified employee is versus a non-classified. On page 13, it deals with recruiting and hiring, and on that page, it talks about having a criminal background and a driving record, and before the city hires anybody, we have to have that criminal background and driving record, and that could keep somebody from being employed if it's not favorable. On page 14, it's access to files. Files are kept on individuals, and they are public records, and the public has access to these files, and that is written in that form. On page 19, it goes to sick leave benefits, and I think that's up to 200 days now. It was 180, 200 days. I think it went from 180 to 200, what? 175 to 200 days that they can bank on sick leave benefits. On number 20, the holiday schedule stayed the same on page 20, the same holidays that we always have. On page 21, the vacation times are in increments of 1/2 hour now. You can take 1/2 hour of vacation, as well as the sick and the personal and everything else on that. 22 states the location of insurance forms are in the clerk treasurer's office. They have that record there. Educational assistance on page 24 for going to school is $1,200 per calendar year. If there's a grant awarded in any particular amount against that $1,200, that would be deducted. And of course, as no changes, they have to stay and work with the city, can't leave for a number of time, or a period of time there, if they get this educational system to go on. Clothing allowance is $250 per year. That's set on, that's on page 25. On 28, talks about the direct deposit on employees' pay. We encourage everyone that is employed, at least the new employees, to have direct deposit. We still have a few that get the direct check, but direct deposit is with the way we have to go. On page 30, it's there are certain individuals that are issued city cell phones that are on call and so forth. They are to give their password, or they're put a password to the cell phone, and that should be given to the supervisor, just in case that cell phone would drop or be lost. There's a lot of city information on that, so there should be a password to not get into that. Also on page 32, it's just a record, a payroll record on use on a city vehicle. If an employee uses a city vehicle and of any type, and that hasn't changed. They have to keep a record. They used to have to keep 2 records, but now it goes right on a payroll sheet, and that's a tax statement that goes on with that city vehicle. So really no change other than payroll record is where it's recorded. 34 is emergency closings. Hopefully we don't get into that, but we've had a few in the last couple years. Sick leave was never added to that. We're going to add sick leave to an emergency closing. So if we would have to close due to, say, level 3 or some other disaster, an individual could select either a deduct or a sick day or a vacation day or a personal leave day. And of course, those that are scheduled to work those particular days. So it's just the additional of sick leave can be added to that for emergency closing. On page 35, the auto mileage rate went up to 56 cents per mile, as is the IRS standard, 56 per mile, if they use their own car. A little change on the bereavement leave. They can use, what was the change on bereavement? Sick leave now for bereavement, or is it just personal vacation?
Well, we clarified that.
We clarified
that
it?
if it was not listed as the family member per the definition, that they could not take sick leave. They
Yeah.
had to take personal.
In the event of the death of a member of employee family who is not an immediate family, the above will be charged to either vacation or personal leave. We just clarified on that particular thing. And on page 41, a leave of absence cannot exceed 6 months. If someone's out longer than 6 months, then you could consider them not to be employed. And also on page 43, a conviction of a felony or could be grounds for dismissal if you have a felony working for the city. So basically, that's all the changes that have taken place in the handbook, and all the department heads have looked over this, went over that, and the BPA and Bryan and Jackie looked over that, and this is what we've come up with, and we'll get this printed out and distributed to the employees as soon as we get it done, the printer. So a lot of work went into this, department heads and whatever.
What's your preference, gentlemen?
I'll make a motion to suspend.
I'll second that.
Dick Reed?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
Tommy?
Yes.
Dick Wright?
Yes.
Rick Hoopie?
Yes. Move that we approve.
Second.
Rick Hoopie?
Yes.
Dick Wright?
Yes.
Tommy?
Yes.
Dick Reed?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes. Number 6 on the agenda is another ordinance. Please number and read.
Ordinance number 6, 2015, an ordinance providing for annual appropriations for the city of Bryan for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015, and declaring an emergency. This is an appropriation request for the fire department and professional services for $15,469.78. This is an appropriation for an emergency response to a spill for local area responders. And Chief Siders is asking it be appropriated.
That goes in the fire fund, Chief?
Was that mentioned?
It's already there.
I'll make a motion to suspend.
I'll second that.
Dick Reed?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
Tommy?
Yes.
Dick Wright?
Yes.
Rick Hoopie?
Yes.
I'll move to adopt.
Second.
Dick Wright?
Yes.
Rick Hoopie?
Yes.
Tommy?
Yes.
Dick Reed?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes. Item number 7 on the agenda is an employee status change with the street department. Tyson?
Good evening. Aaron Davis has completed his 1 year of probation, and he's done everything that we've asked of him, and he's done an excellent job. I'm requesting that he be moved to permanent status, effective tomorrow.
I make a motion to approve the recommendation.
I'll second that.
Tommy?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
Rick Hoopie?
Yes.
Dick Wright?
Yes.
Dick Reed?
Yes.
Number 8 on the agenda, we have a resignation. Tyson, this yours?
This is Warren Hulbert at the recycling center. He is retiring. And his last day of employment will be April 30th, 2015.
My neighbor. I will move that we accept it with regret.
Second.
Dick Wright?
Yes.
Tommy?
Yes.
Rick Hoopie?
Yes.
Dick Reed?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 9 on the agenda is another resignation. Chief Willis.
Council, Jeff Arnold has submitted a letter of resignation from the Police Reserve Unit. He's accepted a full-time position with the West Union Police Department, so therefore I ask that you accept his resignation.
I approve that recommendation.
I'll second it.
Tommy?
Yes.
Dick Reed?
Yes.
Rick Hoopie?
Yes.
Dick Wright?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we're on item number 10. We have a couple annual reports. The first one on the list is wastewater treatment, and that's Mr. Holmeyer. Welcome, Rick.
Gentlemen. The annual report that I've given the council doesn't exactly follow the format. This is going to be more of a slide presentation. But gentlemen, you can look that over. It's pretty much the same as it has been in years past. If you have any questions, you can give me a call. First thing is our staff and the years that they've worked. I can say for myself, I got a lot less hair and it's a lot grayer than it was when I started 27 years ago.
Well, the option is you could have like mine, so
Yeah.
where you complain.
Could end up there. Yeah. Here's a snap of the hole-in-the-wall gang. I'd say got a pretty good group of guys. This is a spreadsheet that you guys have seen before. I don't know if you keep those old annual reports. If you wanted to, you could do a comparison and see how we're doing. Let's go over this a little bit. I think I've called this before, it's kind of a grade card for the wastewater treatment plant. First thing of importance probably is the total flow, right down there in the corner. That's 775,000 million gallons. We average 2.129 million gallons a day. And I'll just go briefly over what we call conventional of the wastewater plant. The first one is this suspended solids. And down here, here's suspended solids. If you look down at the average for the year coming into the plant is 141, and then over two places, the 7.1 is leaving. That's milligrams per liter. And suspended solids would be like the particulate matter in water, like if you had a river sample and let it settle, whatever, it'd be the particulate in it. And our permit requires us to at least hit 30 in the winter, 15 in the summer. So as you can see, is the 7, we're not really having any problem at all meeting our permit. The next item is CBOD. That is defined as the pollutional strength of wastewater. You could have a clear glass of water. If you put a teaspoon of sugar in it, you might not see it, but there's pollutional strength there. And in BOD, our limit is 25 in the winter, 10 in the summer, and we're at 170 coming into the plant. We leave at 3. And the percent removal is about 98.
Yeah.
So that's we've never had issues with the treatment plant. Ammonia, our limit is 4.5 in the winter, 1.2 milligrams per liter in the summer, and we're coming in at 18.9. It's leaving at 0.62 for I guess my vision isn't looking too good either, like 96% removal. Phosphorus, the next thing, the limit has been 1 for as long as I can remember in the city of Bryan since the Clean Water Act, and just about everybody has to hit a 1 milligram per liter limit on that. And we're coming in at about 4.3 and leaving at 0.24 for 94% removal. And then probably the thing that's important to you guys is that number right there, $1,850 for every million gallons that we treat. And I think that went over 1,000 mark as recently as 2008. Right? So you can thank me for that, but we have done a lot of work at the treatment plant, and we kind of paying as we go.
That's including capital improvements then?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Rick, before we move off of that 2.1 million gallons a day, how close to capacity is that?
Our plant is designed for 3.147, something like that. So we're, in most aspects, we've got like a third left, and that's loading and everything. So we're in pretty good shape.
Okay, good.
Off the top of your head, back on the totals of the flow, 175, what is that?
Million gallons.
Yeah. How does that compare with some other years? Is this more or less, or just right in the ballpark?
Actually, I have that. Did I include that in here? I don't have it on
Oh,
here.
you got it back in here a ways.
I do,
Okay, well, maybe you'll get to it.
but it's actually in the next, slide we have here, we'll go back a few years that'll show. That is a sanitary sewer overflow. That's what happens when you're, a couple different things. Number one, your plant can't treat the amount that you need to. And for us, it only happens during extremely high flows or a melt. And I hope I never see another one of them in the city of Bryan. Here's a graph that shows those sanitary sewer overflows. The blue is the inches of rain. The red is the number of what we call SSOs. And it's very linear. You can see that the middle one, 2011, we had 30. But there was a record rainfall of 51 inches. Right beside it, 2012, during the drought, with only 27 inches of rain, there were 0. We've started back in 2008 and 2009 doing some things at the plant. We put in with controls, with a gate that's activated, always taking in as much as we possibly can. We shaved it off some, but then in 2013, in July, we completed the SSO basin project. So there was 9 of them there, but those were all before July. Since that project has been completed, we have not had any SSOs. But I'm a pretty conservative to that, so I'm not going to say it's never going to happen. If we have a year with that 51 inches or an event with a lot of rain in a quick amount of time, but it's looking really good that we have that under control. But keep in mind, we didn't really fix this. We have been repairing the sewers. Bryan has done some things with eave spouts and sump pumps, but it's a continual thing that we need to keep working at and fixing those old sewers. There's our lab operator, Mark Young, and I just had him figure out how many tests he runs in a year. And he does at least 5,300. The contract lab, we have to collect those samples, and it's 450. And I didn't calculate the number, but I bet you at least half of those are numbers that get reported to the Ohio EPA. There's a lot of reporting done. Another thing a lot of people may not know, we are self-monitoring. I mean, the EPA, we may see them once or twice a year. So they count on the city of Bryan and its employees to be truthful and come up with those numbers. This is a aeration diffuser project that we started in 2013 in the fall. I came to you guys, and these diffusers in this plant, most of it was built, or the upgrade was in the mid-'80s. These diffusers, we found out, were deteriorating right at the water line and actually leaking. And I know from experience it takes a long time once you decide you want to do a project till it actually happens. And we did go forward with that. We started it in the fall of 2013. In March, they completed it, and we went from that galvanized with those single diffusers to a PVC grid with neoprene fine air diffusers. and stainless steel pipes that come up. And from that, a bonus was, in the past, we ran 2 of those blowers. Those are 150 horsepower motors running those blowers. They're what keep air to keep our bugs alive that we maintain at the plant. And as you can see, we will save 636,000 kilowatt hours a year. And I checked with BMU using their equation, that's enough to power 62 homes in Bryan a year, and a savings of $55,000. And I know in municipal, we don't talk about payback much, but I think that project was like $450,000. So it's, and the thing was, I mean, that equipment, this is maintained well. We're going to keep those. Now, we not only have, we've got 3 backups, so to speak. It's old equipment, but it's good stuff, and we're just going to maintain that. Another project we did was a gas detection system. There was a system that was put in actually about the time that I started with the city of Bryan, and that system lasted about 2 years. Technology has come a long ways, and for, I believe it was under $30,000, this was a budgeted project. Our personnel, Willis, Kester, put in a gas detection system. It's been in almost a year, and the guys check the calibration occasionally. The good thing about it is it works, and I really trust it, and it's a safety issue. We're talking about explosive gases or hydrogen sulfide, which can knock an operator over. So, and those are monitoring at actually 4 different locations in the plant. And the way it's set up, if those go into an unsafe condition, an audible alarm goes off, a light flashes, and at the plant, we're monitor everything with a computer. We have an alarm system, so the guys come in the morning, and there's guys there by themselves on a weekend. They show up, it's going to show up on the monitor that there's an issue there. I mean, it's one of those things you get used to something not being there and kind of ho-hum it, but I feel really good that we have that done. Another project was, we call that the Evansport Road Lift Station, and that's Terry Clark from Willis. Again, something from the mid-'80s. It's a very tough environment at a wastewater treatment plant, and we replaced the electrical components, the floats, and the disconnect and the enclosure. So we end up with something that looks like that, and that wasn't a real expensive project. It's much easier to fix something until it gets to the point where it isn't operable. That's the kind of things we look at. And in the city, we have 9 lift stations that we maintain. In 2013, you guys asked for a facilities assessment, and Arcadis finished that in 2014. One of the things that was prioritized in that was the transformer that feeds the wastewater treatment plant. BMU has supplied the transformer, the wire. As you can see, they're putting a pole in right there. Our guys helped. We buried that. That's a photo of last week. I uncovered it before the weather got bad. Willis came over and poured that pad. So if the one right beside it is the existing transformer. So if that would fail, we could get it done in a reasonable amount of time. With that brick building there, there's a standby generator that actually will run the treatment plant. I mean, we're required to have that. There's a shot, them pulling the wire in, and there they're setting the transformer. So now it's ready to go. Willis will come over and hook us into the bus bar. One of the things that this is something we want to do on our time instead of when there's a failure is that this type of transformer that hooks into the bus bar up here, the city doesn't keep that kind of transformer. And in fact, I don't know if I would call it obsolete or not. So that's why we got that conduit and everything in. That's a project that will get completed soon. There's my guys earning their money. And they're cleaning out a pit. On the other end of that black hose there is a vac truck with a couple street department guys operating that, helping us out there. This is Wilson Street lift station, and this is, we have budgeted to pretty much do the same thing we did at Evansport Road. This is a transformer for one of those 150 horsepower blowers. I don't know if you can see the burn there. We discussed this when we had our meeting with Arcadis and Wallace. We've replaced that one. And at the urging of my assistant, Wes Wygant, I think we discussed it, and with Wallace decided we're going to go ahead and replace the transformer on the other three. In that particular room, I don't have a picture of that MCC, but it's a broad MCC. If we were to lose that, we would lose treatment for a while. So those transformers are budgeted in, and they're going to be replaced too.
So you're going to replace total, this one plus 3 more?
We did that one, Tom.
That's what I'm saying, you please
We're going to do the
plus
other 3
more. Yeah.
Yep.
So what are you talking per transformer?
I think that whole project was budgeted, it's under $20,000.
For all
But
3?
Yes.
All 4, what, yeah.
3, yep.
Okay.
This is aerial satellite photo of the algae bloom. Algae bloom. And that's obviously came to the forefront with Toledo's issue. We are the producers of phosphorus for the city of Bryan. There's another one that shows an overlay with the tributaries. You can see us right down there at the Maumee River. That's where we end up going in. And just of interest, I kind of calculated out what we got here. I got to say, I really like that picture, but I don't like what it is.
Yeah.
If you can't tell, that's a boat zooming across the algae bloom on the western basin of Lake Erie. The city of Bryan contributes 14 tons to the treatment plant. We treat it, what leaves the plant is less than 3/4 tons. That goes to Prairie Creek, which goes to the Tiffin River, which goes to the Maumee, which goes to Lake Erie. The third one there, 2,368 tons from the Maumee River to Lake Erie. That's an average annual pounds. That's monitored by Heidelberg College at Waterville. And that is a number. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, but I think that was a 6-year average right there. And as you can see, we aren't a very big portion of that loading, but we have a pipe at our treatment plant. We are monitored, well, 3 times a week we test for that. And I can't make a prediction, but I can guess. Right now our limit is 1, and I would say that will probably go to 0.5 milligrams per liter. And We're currently at .243 for our average, so that being said, we should be able to, without really doing anything, be able to maintain that one. If it gets a lot lower than that, then it gets really expensive to treat. We're spending about $60,000 a year for phosphorus removal is what we spend. That's all I have. Any questions or?
Yeah, are you removing phosphorus from any of the storm sewers?
No.
No, only
But
from-
you do bring up a good point. The city of Bryan's timing was very good to have our SSOs eliminated because that is a big target for the EPA, sanitary sewer overflow. How many pounds that added? I don't have that number.
I was thinking of lawn runoffs and all of that, you know.
Yeah, I have what goes to the treatment plant, what comes into the plant from the sanitary sewers.
Gentlemen, anything else? If not, thank you very
All right,
much, Rick.
Thanks a lot, Rick.
Thank you.
Yep.
We have one more from Chief Willis. No, the fire department, it'd be not Chief Willis.
You didn't want to do the fire report, did you, Chief?
Chief, you want to?
Chief, you want to do the fire report?
I've been confused with the police chief before, and that's okay.
I just say if you're on your toes there.
Good evening. I'm going to present to you tonight the 2014 annual report for the fire department. Council has been given a copy of the annual report. It's a little more in depth than what I'm going to be presenting here tonight in the slideshow. Also want to make it known to the public that our annual report is on the City of Bryan website. You can get to it by going to www.cityofbryan.com, going to the departments, select the fire department, and in the left-hand column, there's a link to our annual reports, and the annual report in its entirety is there if you want to read it. Last year, we had a normal year, what we call a normal year, I guess, and we were up a little bit last year from 2013. We had 458 calls for service, and the fire department operates with a mostly volunteer fire department. We have 18 paid-on-call firefighters. These folks work regular jobs in the city and out of the city, and are on call for us basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The city does have 7 career firefighters. That includes myself and my assistant chief and the captain. In December, I believe I came to council, and council was gracious enough to allow me to hire 2 additional full-time people. So we have 4 firefighters on duty during the day from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. This is kind of a breakdown as to what kind of calls we went on last year. As you can see, fires accounted for about 10% of our calls. And of course, we help the Williams County EMS, and that accounted for about 15% of our calls for last year. False alarms were up a whole bunch last year because of the winter that we had. When we got the thaw in February and March, we had a lot of pipes that had frozen during the hard freeze that we had, and those pipes broke, and a lot of them were sprinkler systems. So anytime water flows in a sprinkler system, you get an alarm. So that's why you see the increase in the false alarms from last year. For the 458 calls that we had last year, the total time was 369 hours, which equated out to an average call lasting just a little less than 1 hour. And we do that with our crew system. Presently, we have 4 crews, and I'll explain more of that further on in the slide series. But we break the department down into crews so that the duty crew handles the single engine calls. Someone smells something, or the smoke detector's going off, or first responder calls and the like. We just send one engine with 4 guys, and they handle the majority of the calls. And again, most of those calls last less than 1 hour. Where do we go? Last year in the city of Bryan, 312 of those calls were generated inside the city. 58 were in Pulaski Township, 37 to Center Township, and 9 were to Jefferson. 7 calls out to the county properties, out to the nursing home. And 35 of the calls last year were mutual aid and automatic aid calls to our neighbors that surround the city. The top chart that you see there, the average response times for our call, this is from the time that the pager goes off until the arrival of that first piece of fire apparatus. We do not count my vehicle or the assistant chief's vehicle. We count fire apparatus that arrives on scene that can begin to mitigate the situation. And in the city of Bryan, last year, our average response time from the time of dispatch to the time of arrival of that first piece of apparatus was just a little over 5 minutes, 5.53 in the city of Bryan. That speaks volumes of the volunteers because, again, they have to come from home. They have to come to the fire station. They have to grab their turnout gear, get on the truck, get out the door, and get to where the emergency's at. So they do a real good job for us of getting out there and helping the citizens of Bryan. The bottom chart then is a 10-year comparison of the response times over the last 10 years. And as you can see, since 2005 in the city of Bryan, we're creeping up a little bit, but we're staying relatively flat. We're still in that 5-minute response time in the city. Of course, we get asked all the time, is there any one day more busier than the others? Any month more busier than the others? And my standard answer is no. We are busy every day of the week, every month of the year. And this chart here shows you that we were pretty busy last year, every day of the week. Wednesday stood out a little bit for us this year. That's not quite typical for us. Typically, Tuesdays were always our busy day, but we're starting to see that that is moving away, and we're starting to see that Fridays and Saturdays are picking up. So we're starting to see more calls on the weekends than we are during the day. And then this chart is that comparison for the months of the year. And again, in January, when we had that one thaw period, due to the extremely cold weather, we had the frozen pipes. That's why you see an increase in those incidents. But again, we're busy every month of the year. There's no one month that really stands out more than any of the others. Of course, time of day, when we have to go out for service. Last year, we started to see an increase at about 4 a.m. We started to see an uptick in our call volume, and by 7 o'clock, we were up into the 25 calls, and that pretty much stayed high until about midnight, and then we start coming back down again until we see another spike at about 2 a.m. When the bars close. And then we get to go back to sleep for about an hour before we have to get back up and start all over again. And then the bottom chart there is our 10-year average. And again, that hasn't changed much in the last 10 years. We're still seeing an uptick. We're actually seeing it about an hour earlier now than what we were in the past. Historically, we were seeing an uptick at about 6. Now we're starting to see one at about 5 a.m. When we start seeing an increase in our call volume. And again, that goes up and we start to peak out at about 10 and we stay there again until about midnight when we start to come back down again. Last year, as I said, in December, council authorized or allowed me to hire 2 full-time people. So the top chart is kind of skewed this year. Also last year, we were able to hire a few more paid-on-call folks, volunteers, and with that, we were able to put Crew 1 back into the rotation. Previously to that, we were running with a 3-crew rotation. So, and during the day, we were also running a lot of general alarms because we had to produce additional people to make the manning standard for the engine. So, 2014, these are the numbers for the crews, how many calls they went on. Crew 2 gets the award for 2014. That's Lieutenant Ingstrom's crew. He got to go on 73 calls. And then this year, what you're going to see is you're going to see more of the on-duty staff call volume picking up, the general alarms coming back down again, and the crew calls kind of leveling off. So again, this chart is somewhat skewed this year, but next year's numbers will be a little more accurate. And again, the bottom chart is that 10-year comparison. This is how we kind of figure out what we need to do and how we can make the system better and make our responses to the community more efficient. Dollar loss, we don't actually measure the dollar loss. We actually measure the dollars saved because every time someone has a fire that has a loss, especially in a commercial property, that has great economic impact on the community. So we look at the dollars that we actually save, and last year we estimated just a little over $6 million in property value. Our loss was $200,000, so we actually saved just a little over $6.5 million in property last year. That's almost unheard of in a volunteer fire department situation. You know, we're looking at 97%, 98% save rate on property. So again, it speaks volumes with our mostly volunteer fire department of what we're able to accomplish. Of course, a lot of that is due to our fire prevention activities. Assistant Chief Poole handles or heads up our fire prevention section, and with the help of the firefighters, we do public education programs for school-age kids from preschool up through 4th grade. And of course, we do the station tours. They always like to come and look at the fire trucks. That's what they come for. And we talk to them about what it looks like, what a firefighter looks like when they all get dressed up in their clothes, because we do look a whole lot different from street clothes to all of our fire gear on, and we can be somewhat scary when we get all of that stuff on. So we teach the kids that, you know, we're not a big monster or anything like that. We're there to help them. And of course, we do the Trade and Industry Show, which is coming up at the end of the month. We get our message out there about fire prevention, and again, Assistant Chief Poole handles that for us and heads that up. Training, training's headed up by Captain Gary Merstorff, and he does an excellent job for us. Last year,
We logged a total of 3,902 hours of training, which equated out to about 156 hours per firefighter in training. That's a lot of time away from home after work hours, a lot of missed kids' events in school, a lot of missed suppers, a lot of missed appointments and things like that. Folks put in a lot of time in training, and it shows. We have one of the best trained fire departments, I believe, in Northwest Ohio. Of course, we do special events. This particular picture is from last year. If you remember, due to all the cold weather that we had, schools actually had to make up a lot of their days. And on one of the city holidays, the school actually still went. So they asked if they could come to the fire station for a tour to make up some of their time. We said, sure, come on up. And this is one of those elementary school classes that came and visited us that day. I believe we had 2 or 3 classes that day that came up and toured the fire station. But we go to all the special events. We go to the city Halloween party that the Parks and Rec puts on out at the ice rink. Again, anything that we do, that we go out to on special events, we try to push that fire prevention message of smoke detectors, fire drills, and so forth. And our folks, again, do an excellent job. The list that you see there, those are the folks, basically from the career firefighters on down, those are the folks that do all the work. I'm just privileged and honored to be able to lead this fire department. And I really want to thank all of the firefighters. I especially want to thank their families because, again, of all the time that they have to spend away from home and from their families to do this job. It takes a special person to be able to do this job. So I want to thank each and every one of them. A couple of guys are with us tonight, Captain Merstorff and Captain Bauer, and I think they do a heck of a job for us. Of course, you can always find us on, or follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Every call that we generate, we actually put out on through social media, so you know where we're going and what we're doing, so you can keep abreast of what your fire department is doing. Again, council's been presented with a more in-depth document, so this is just kind of a brief overview. Any questions?
Gentlemen, you have any questions? Is there any questions from out here? I'm sorry, somebody was starting to say something. No? Okay. Well, Chief Siders, I apologize for not pronouncing your name properly.
Oh, that's okay.
But it wasn't a bad name, but it was, but you did a fine job, and we appreciate all that you and your entire staff do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I might say that all the department heads have done a great job with these annual reports. We call them annual reports, but we fail to say that each month, all the council members receive a monthly report from all the departments as well. So this is just kind of a synopsis of all the reports that are given. So good job by everyone, and I think that will complete our annual reports
Okay.
for the departments for this past year.
Since we've completed our annual reports, that completes our agenda. I'll go around the room, which I failed to do at the last meeting, and see if there's anyone who has anything to say. Judy? No? Chief Willis?
No, sir.
Chief Siders?
Nothing further, sir. Thank you.
Do the two captains have anything to say? Okay. Mr. Whelan?
No, sir.
Tyson?
No, sir.
Rick, any more?
I just would like to say that something Bruce didn't mention, they do a great job when we have these spills, and I know it was terrible this winter, the oil spill behind the treatment plant, setting their booms, in this case, saving ducks and everything else. I think for a town the size of Bryan, you probably have in that aspect, probably done the best in the state.
Okay. And that reminds me, in your report, you mentioned about BMU was there working with you, and Board of Public Affairs people were there working, and again, that shows how we as a community are working together, and I thought that was good you pointed that out. Mr. Beavers, you got anything you want to say? Gentlemen, you guys want to say anything?
I introduced myself earlier. This is Derek Schultz. He's the chief water plant supervisor, full-time at the water treatment plant. So
Okay.
he's been with us 2 years, 2.5 years.
You have a speech for us, Derek? No, you don't.
Annual report?
Annual report. Okay. We'll go down here to Tommy.
No, nothing. Fine.
Okay. Rick?
Nothing tonight.
Dick?
Nothing.
Dick?
Nothing.
I have nothing. Let's see, go Lori?
No, sir.
Okay, and Rhonda? And Mayor?
Just a couple things. A reminder that tax time is April 15th, but also your ethics reports are due. So don't forget to fill those out and send them in. And also, you might have gotten a letter on March 10th at the library. Again, 6 o'clock, Rick Weaver's going to be up there and present that transportation study. They had a grant that was done from throughout the county to do a transportation study for the whole area. It was presented early on, and not too many people attended that, but he's going to have another on the 10th of March. And of course, if all the final results depends on funding from the state of Ohio, how much of that would get done or not get done. So we have that. And also, all elected officials, unless you select Rhonda or somebody else to represent you, have to have that sunshine training law if you have not already done that. What's that?
What time is it?
What's that?
Time.
That,
On the 17th.
That's on the 10th. You mean the sunshine law?
No, that's
Yeah,
April 17th.
17th, what time of day?
Right here, you got it right here.
April 17th. That is during the day. That's 9 to 12:15. Other years they've had that. We got one time at the college, but at Northwest. But this year they've selected Owens, 9 to 12:15. And if you decide not to go, I guess Rhonda could be designated as your person. But
And we would need to let her know.
yes,
You would need to make a
you would
motion.
have to make a motion if anyone wants to do that, that she's going and I'm going, and I think Mike Willis is going, and several from the police, and there's Lori's going. Lori could be anybody. But if you would want to make a motion that Rhonda would be your representative, you can do that and not go. They do check. I might say that there's about 15 or 16 different questions. This is the first, I got mine back, and one of them was a little box that you own any extra property, and I didn't check that. I don't own any extra property, and I got a letter back, and so I had to exit and send it back to them.
But they did take your check,
They
right?
did take my
They did check-
$35
take your
That's the
check.
important thing.
We have a couple meetings yet to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appointment.
Yeah, we can
I need
decide.
to check my business calendar. first.
Yeah. So those two things are coming up, that I would remind council, so. Once again, nice job on the reports, and might say we got another ice, snow, or something coming along in Tyson, we got enough salt and enough holdout. We're very close.
Pickle juice.
They're very close to being out, but I think maybe one more we can stand. That's about it.
Did you let Mother Nature know that we're about done?
That's right.
Does the liquid, the spray
Bryan.
thing work pretty good, the brine?
Yeah, in certain instances. I mean, if we get a lot of snow or a lot of ice, it's not enough salt in the water to do anything. So a quarter-inch dusting or a little bit of ice, it will work. Versus that's what we got it for. We get it for the big storms.
Right.
Will that help, like, if they're predicting possibly freezing rain in the morning, would that help it? If you have,
Depending on how much we get.
yeah,
Because
but light one,
what it is, I mean, it's water that has 23% salt in it, and all it is rock salt.
yeah.
So it's already diluted a lot more than if we just put rock salt in the ground. Any moisture you get on top of it dilutes it a lot faster.
Dilutes it more, yeah. Okay, anything?
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you.
All right. With that in mind, we are finished with everything. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Tommy?
Yes.
Rick Hoopie?
Yes.
Dick Reed?
Yes.
Dick Wright?
Yes.
Keith?
Yes. We are adjourned.